All right, the Calcio guys, they ask thoughts on Vlahovic this season, his growth as a player, and is it still too early to talk about him making the jump to a bigger club as he's only 21 years old?
Um, I complimented his savvy, in the penalty area on the first goal.
Yeah.
You don't often see 21-year-olds having that kind of awareness. He's a big target.
Yeah.
Where he does not fit in the identity of what we like in a modern striker is he maybe lacks some pace. Some of these bigger clubs, if they're going to be looking for a striker, who's our Lukaku? Who can be our Lukaku? Who can be our Zapata? I mean, who can be a real handful, in all of the functions of a striker?
Checks all the boxes, right?
Right, ticks all the boxes. And I don't know if Vlahovic is there yet. There are signs like today that show he's on his way, but there are some physical attributes that I think limit him.
And I think, go ahead. No, go ahead.
He can be a presence. There's no doubt about it. There's some things from a pace standpoint that I think obviously are not there, which could probably hinder him. You're going to have to, tailor your attack around that, and you're going to have to make sure that he is elite in hold-up play, and being able to create for other players. And a guy that's going to get into positions early, because he's not going to outrun anybody to a cross or to a spot. He's going to get his goals by finding the right spots in the penalty area early for the crosses or for some of these other plays. But a guy like him continue to be the aerial target that he is. Need to be elite in hold-up play. I think he's decent in hold-up play right now. Doesn't hold a candle to what Lukaku can do holding the ball. Not many strikers can.
Sure.
But a guy that can get there. I think a jump after this season is too premature. I want him to stay at Fiorentina. I'd like to actually see Fiorentina get another manager too. Somebody that's going to continue to make the most of his talents,
Sure,
and surround him with the kind of playmakers and the kind of attributes that will allow Fiorentina to be successful. But I think that if he, there's areas of his game that he needs to develop before he just makes a jump to a bigger club, because we've seen young strikers like this, jump at this age when they're not 100% ready. Okay,
yeah.
Piontek comes to mind. Very young at Genoa, made a big splash, still had things to work on, but Milan bought in on him anyway, and made an immediate impact, but eventually got found out, and never got the opportunity to grow into that role,
Right.
And I don't think you can go to a big club and grow into a role as a young player like Vlahovic. I think you got to grow into your talent where you're at now, and then the opportunity to play at a better club, like in whether it's a Milan or whether it's an Inter or a Roma. I think Roma would be an amazing fit for him if they move on from Dzeko and don't believe in Mayoral for some reason. So
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at with Vlahovic.
Yeah, it's similar to what we were just talking about there with Chiesa, right? With Fiorentina, he's there for a while, and then what allows you is when you go to that new club and you're not quite adjusting to it yet, you can still you have the experience now where you can find a way to get yourself into that club, like Chiesa did. All of a sudden, he's becoming one of the better players on that team because of that experience he had at Fiorentina, staying there longer. I think we talked about this last podcast how. Probably an ideal partnership with him is someone like a Christian Kwame, because he makes up for what he lacks, and so Kwame brings that pace, and he has that he brings you that X factor ability that Vlahovic doesn't bring, and so that's why they look so well together today, is because they're an exactly perfect combination for each other. And so if he were to move on, if it wasn't a Roma, I can see a Roma because it would fit into their system because they would have runners that could look like a Kwame or a second striker that comes in because they have so many guys that come in like Mkhitaryan and stuff. Or a team that has a player like a Kawami type, a faster player or a skilled player who could play off of you, as Kawami played with Piontek. That's what Piontek was doing so well, right? It's a similar type player with Vlahovic. Yep. And so you find a team that maybe not the top team like you said, because you want him to get some pitch time. Maybe an upper middle table team that he can get that pitch time, and someone who can have a complement with him, a sidekick, so to speak, and that would be really good for him, I think. And I agree. I kind of want to see him stay at. He had a good season so far. Continue with Fiorentina next season with Kwame, and build upon that. And then if things are really going great, maybe you got to make for another move, because I think I agree. I think he's not quite ready there, but he's got the makings of a good striker. Very savvy today, as you mentioned. His hold up play is good. Could get better. If you want to get to that elite club, elite level, you need some more time to practice, to get the footwork together, get the small things together. Scamacca's another one. There's a similar situation, I think.
Yeah, I think Scamacca still has some growth and should stay he's another one that should stay at Genoa. I don't think we want to rush these young guys into places where they're forced to be great when they're not ready to be. So
yeah, 100%.